Predator 2 is a mixed bag. On one hand, I do enjoy the film, and on the other, it falls massively short of the original and of its possible potential. Now, why is that? Is it because of the shift away from the jungle setting into an urban one? Some may feel that way, and I can understand that, but the thing is, here, it was poorly executed. That is why it disappoints. To me, it isn't due to the setting because, in a way, a city-stalking Predator film is an obvious go-to sequel, and if it was done better, it could have been a huge hit. Now, Predator 2 follows Mike Harrigan, an LA police lieutenant who is caught in the midst of a war. A gang war, that is, and his determined off-the-rails personality has him charging headfirst into danger and into whatever may lie in front of him. And he may have a stand-up service record till now, but this enemy he was about to go up against would be the toughest one yet. It was 109 degrees in Los Angeles, a prime climate for a predator. 10 years have passed since Dutch and Anna survived their encounter, and as we learnt back then, predators only appear in the hottest of years, and this year it grew very hot. And unlike the first film, there wasn't any waiting around for the main attraction to show its face. Perhaps that's to its detriment. The Predator was seen early on, often and throughout, but to me the CGI just didn't look as sharp as the first, and its camouflage at times seemed to be a little ropey. Now that doesn't bother me too much, and I know it's a commonly used phrase, but sometimes less is more, up until a point. But we were oversaturated with constant attacks throughout the city, and it gave off a very samey tone. We go from murder scene to the next as Harrigan and his team try to work out who is doing all of this. They've never seen anything quite like it and just couldn't wrap their heads around what they were seeing. The Predator kept beating them to the punch. First to that gang who were getting ready to dig in that building, it beat them to various drug lords throughout the city, and then it killed one of their own, and that wasn't going to stand. Now, I am a big Danny Glover fan. Loved him since the first time I saw him in the Lethal Weapon films, and here he is right at home. Unafraid of stepping into Arnie's shoes, he too commands the screen. His character's disregard for the rules is quite comical at times. You wonder how he's been able to keep his job that long, and it must run in the team since his partner Danny Boy also ignored Harrigan's orders, which ultimately led to his death. And that right there set Harrigan on a collision course with the Predator. He scoured everywhere trying to look for it and had Special Agent Keyes trailed in order to try and find out some information. Gary Busey's Agent Keyes was a special unit aware of the Predator's existence. His team intended to catch the Predator and use it to further Earth's technology. The pair bumped heads on more than a few occasions, and after the death of his newly joined team partner Jerry, Harrigan was set straight. Keyes told him what was going on, what he was up against, how he and his team were going to handle it, and for him to sit down and enjoy the show. Keyes' mistake, though, was thinking that the Predator could only see in one spectrum of light. Infrared was its standard setting, and the only one up until now that we've actually seen the Predator use. However, that grave error got near enough all of his team killed. He was able to survive longer than the rest, but that smart disc will cut through anything it comes in contact with, so when the Predator took aim, Keyes was split in half. Not a nice way to go. Most of the cast was gone within the blink of an eye, to be honest. Then it was down to an interchanging cat and mouse battle between Harrigan and the Predator. Now, there were some good sequences here, but they were coupled with some face-palming ones. As much as that motherfucker taunt was a throwback to the original, it just didn't work. It felt forced, and it wasn't funny. I did not like it. Seeing the Predator heal its wounds was cool, as was the exploration of the Predator's ship, which was hidden underground, and that was where the final battle commenced as Harrigan used its own weapon against it to slay his enemy and avenge his friends. It's a good thing the Predators adhere to their own code of honour, because if they didn't, after dealing with his foe, Harrigan just might have been in a spot of bother. My overall verdict for Predator 2 is a 6 out of 10. Again, it is a mixed bag. It has some good sections and it has some bad ones. It's like it's going 2 steps forward and 2 steps back. It's just above average, and if not for Danny Glover and the fact of it being a Predator film, it could have been a lot worse. The pacing is off. The Predator is able to get from that cemetery with Harrigan down to the subway within what? A matter of moments. Yes, it's a Predator, but I think we should have had at least 1 or 2 more scenes before that subway attack. Now, saying that, the subway attack was done very well. Aside from the warehouse with Keyes and his crew being squashed, that section was a highlight. Mostly in part due to Bill Paxton being his eccentric self as the new member of the team Jerry. Him staying behind allowed Leona and the civilians to get away, but it will be his final fight. His brave actions were his last, and the horrific outcome of his demise was unfortunately timed for Harrigan as he caught sight of the Predator completing the act. From time to time you can hear snippets from that epic music we all know and love, but it just gets cut short most of the time after like 3 to 5 seconds. Why? Why do you do this? Probably because the scenes are switching so darn quickly it doesn't have the time to play out the entire score. We get the odd one here and there which is pleasing, but maybe we could actually have a little more breathing time. The sound design was one of the key best parts of the original, so the homage to it is appreciated, but you did screw it up a little. Honestly, watching this movie makes me want to go and play Predator Concrete Jungle on the PS2. That game was awesome, but coming 3 years later after the monumental success of Predator, the sequel does not live up to the first. It is no match for its predecessor, and its disappointment likely contributes to the reason why it took 20 years for the next Predator film to be made. Standalone, that is. And yes, Predators is going to be reviewed next. So, what did you all think of the sequel? Did you feel disappointed by it? Do you see it as a mediocre film at best? Or worse? And what would you have done differently if it was still set in an urban environment? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed the review. And I'll see you on the next one.